With regards to the movement of the qi into the Du channel, prior to actually starting to move this substance we've been building through the nerves of the spine especially, we want to try to ensure that we have freed up the clipping passes. Now, sometimes people say that the clipping passes are very much about psychological things we need to release. The main reason for this is because sometimes people have definitely inaccurately, lined up the clipping passes with the idea of the chakra. Because they exist at a certain height along the body, people have made the mistake of thinking they're the same thing. They're not the chakra, they are completely unrelated to them. Sometimes people make the mistake of thinking that correlation makes it the same thing, but that's not true. Just because they lie at the same location, it's not the same thing. So these points that need freeing up are not to do with psychology any more than you could argue, I suppose, that if you are mentally stressed, it will tighten the body. That's true. But it is more to do with physiologically freeing the mechanics of the body up. If we look at the spine, especially, then those points must be free enough for the nervous system to open, for the vertebra to open up as well. Most people who have a blockage around one of the clipping passes, you can normally see why. It's normally either postural, or they've had an injury in those locations. The spine is blocked. Maybe on the front of the chest, it is elevated, it is not held properly. So these kind of things are always there. If we look at the structure for Qigong, if someone has been taught correctly and has a good background in Qigong, most of the clipping passes are already open, because the structure of the practice of the body, how it is held, will already have opened them to a large degree. But just in case, we can help to free them up. So we have a little stretching sequence we can do. We're going to open the front and the back of the body. So we're going to sit. All our work is seated for the microcosmic orbit with the spine upright as before. If you'd rather be in a chair, that's okay. Then what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to flex the front and the back of the body. So I'm going to push my spine back first. So I'm curving my back, including my neck, stretching it out. And then I'm going to do the opposite and push my stomach and my chest forward, opening the front of the body. Okay, then again, I'm just going to take my body back, opening the spine, curving it, so I'm opening the space on the vertebra on my back, and then forwards, opening the chest, front of the body, back, just flexing the body. I don't force it, as if there's a lot of tension, I don't push through. I'm just slowly and gradually just stretching the two sides open, the yin and yang aspects of the body. Now, as with anything, the more we give our attention to the process, the faster and more smoothly it happens. So I don't just absent-mindedly watch TV or something and go through the stretches. That will work, but it will be slower. Instead, what I do is I put my mind in the front of the body as I come forward, listening to the surface of the skin, the neck, everything that is stretching. And then as I go back, listen to the spine and the vertebra as I stretch back. Get your mind into the spine, give it your attention. And then the front of the body. Continue for a few minutes, as long as you want, really. Just freeing it up. If there is an area in your body that is tight, especially the back, what I can do, say I've got tightness in the middle of the back, maybe where Shen Dao resides or something, I can go back
And then just stay there, and I just wriggle around that little area that is tight. Just wriggle it around, like I'm just trying to ease it open. Not forcefully, just gently easing it open before I carry on with this stretch. So this is the first part. Then I come to neutral. And now I'm going to start to wave the spine. So I'm sending a pulse from the bottom of the spine to the top. So what I do is I roll the spine in one continual wave. So right now I roll the bottom of the spine, curving the spine, and then sending that wave up through my neck, up into the head. So I roll, leaning forward, so my lower back is curved, and then I roll that wave up my back. So my spine is rolling like a wave, a spinal wave, yeah? Bottom to top. So right now I'm rolling the lumbar, then the middle of the back, the upper back, the neck, like one smooth point. Okay? Rolling the spine. So it's moving like a wave. I want every one of the vertebrae to move. Space between each of the bones, yeah, collapse, and then I send that wave up through my back, up through. I want to lengthen the spine as I'm doing this. So I'm stretching up, so more space is created between the bones. More space is created as I'm rolling from bottom to top. Make sure you remember that the neck is included in the spine. And then again, I give my attention to the spine. So I listen inside. So my mind is in the spine, and I let it move up through the spine, following the peak of the wave. Right inside the spinal cord, inside the nerves. Making sure that each of the vertebrae is relaxing and opening up as this wave moves through my body. So this movement wants to be loose, snake-like, and lightly opening, so that my body is getting longer at the same time. Waving, waving. And when I'm done, I just breathe. This will take care or start to help open Ming Men, Shen Dao, and even Yu Jian. But I'm going to help the occipits, and I'm going to help Nao Hu a little bit more by beating the heavenly drum, is the name of the exercise. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your index finger over your ring finger, like this, so they're crossed, and you're going to flick the index finger down, like so. Flick the index finger down, on top. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover my ears, and press, and then I'm going to flick these fingers onto the occipits, So if I bend forward so you can see, flicking onto the occipital area of my skull. So I continue to bang, and what happens is the vibration sent by the flicking of the fingers will move through the back of your skull and help to open Nao Hu and the Yu Jian region. You want to do it for a few minutes. And as before, bring your mind into, I'm talking to you while I'm not doing it, because if I cover my ears, I can't really hear and end up shouting. So what I do is I absorb my awareness into the area of the body that's being banged. So I absorb it into the occipits, I absorb it into the Nao Hu region on the back of the skull, and I listen to the vibrations. And the rhythm wants to be bang, 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 about that speed. And look for the vibrations.
And give your attention fully to the movement of the vibrations, the shaking that comes from the flicking of your fingers, like so. Use quite a lot of power, as much as you can get. And the shaking through here will start to open up, like I say, Yujian and now Hu. Afterwards, when you've done this, normally the mind feels kind of free. And when I move the neck around the occiput and the atlas bones, it can make your head feel very light, like not light-headed, but just very free in those bones. It's quite surprising just how good it makes you feel. So practice that for a few minutes. Just add that to the sequence. So from here, what we're going to start to do is just once again for the spine, is I'm going to put my hands on my knees and turn the elbows out. If you're on a chair, just put them on your lap. And then what I'm going to start to do is I'm leaning forward a little bit, is I'm going to turn the spine from the bottom. So I start at like L5, L4, just above the sacrum, and I put the little twist, and I take that twist all the way up my body, like I'm wringing out a cloth. So that twist goes up from the base of the spine up to the top. Then I go back. Don't twist so much that you hurt yourself. And then again I turn, and I'm just twisting a little bit more around just to open up the vertebra, and I turn my head. And I'm turning each of the vertebrae a little bit more, from the bottom to the top, like I'm twisting, I'm wringing out a cloth. Yeah? I'm just going to do this a few times either side. Once again, bring your attention into the spine, into the space between the vertebrae. So that the more attention you give to that process, the faster it creates the change, the more effectively it opens up the spine. If you feel comfortable with it and it's not going to hurt, start lifting the spine as well. So I twist, and then I lift and lengthen the spine at the same time. So twist and lift and lengthen the spine at the same time. Yeah. Mind inside the spine, twist, lift, lengthen the spine. Then around to the front, settle. So far we've been looking at exercises ready that open Mingmen, Shendao, Yujian, and now Hu. Now for Bai Hui, it is a little different. For Bai Hui to open, we can't flex the skull or anything like this. So we can use essentially a Qigong method where I bring the hands up. I put the left hand about 1 inch from the top of the head above the crown. Right hand about 1 inch above the left. So I have this little gap here. Lao Gong, center of the palm is above Lao Gong. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the hands out and then push them in, opening Lao Gong, and then lifting away like I'm drawing like pulling away. Then I push in, and then I pull away. Bai Hui is very sensitive to energy, to qi, high up on the body. So when we open and stretch Lao Gong on the way down, it will start to connect, and then the lifting will pull and draw, almost like teasing open the Bai Hui. If I bring my mind to the crown of the head, pay attention to this process, you'll see that when I pull the hands away, it feels like something stretches, like something pulls, maybe like under the skin on the top of your head, or the hair starts pulling. And what I do when I pull away and I start this lift is it would just help to tug open Bai Hui. People who've done it a while will notice when they pull away with the hands, it actually can stretch up the neck from inside. Something lifts and elevates. Which is using this, just like I say, to free up Bai Hui. I just repeat this for a while. These kind of stretches, sometimes all these exercises for the points, sometimes you'll see people for the clipping passing give you numbers, like do 20 repetitions and da-da-da. I don't really think it matters. It's not to do with that. It's just to help the points open. Just do little and often, just regularly, just when you're at the stage when you're trying to prepare the orbit by opening these clipping passes, I just do short bursts again. When I've got time in the day, maybe just a couple of minutes working on Bai Hui, till the influence of the pushing and the pulling starts to open it up. When you feel like that tingling and that stretch, and that's enough. Rather than spending a long time on it, just short bursts. Do it throughout the day whenever you get a little break, and it will open. The next ones we tackle are Renjong and Tiantu at the same time. Yeah. So basically, we want to open this whole region. I know there's specific points in the body, but actually we want the whole region, the whole of this top section of the Ren to open. So what I'm going to do is a little bit peculiar, actually, is we're going to stretch the neck and then breathe in a very specific way. So first, what I do is I'm going to tip the ear down towards one shoulder as far as I can. Then stop, relax your neck muscles completely, and let the head get a little heavy, like a dead weight, and you'll find you can pull it a little bit more. Yeah, just stretch a little bit more. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really deep breath in and hold it. Just for a few seconds, and then breathe out. And again, breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Again, breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. And then lift the head up. And then we'll do 3 on each side first. So stretch side of the neck. Then relax your neck, relax the weight of the head. Breathe in. You should find that the nostril that is up is much more dominant for breathing, like more air goes in through that side. So I breathe in, hold, breathe out. 3 times, breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Okay, then we're going to come up to the front. Yeah. Now we're going to stretch open this region around the neck. So what I do is I tip my head back, as long as you don't have any neck injuries. Tip your head back and then push your chin up just a little bit so the neck stretches into Tiantu. So stretch it up. Okay, then you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to press your breath towards the sternum. So I breathe in and I breathe high into this area. Hold the breath. Then breathe out and let the sternum sink on the out breath. Sternum sink. So again, I stretch the neck, breathe in. Push your lungs, your breath towards this area, hold. Then breathe out and sink the sternum. Again, breathe in. Hold for a few seconds. And breathe out, sink the sternum. Just 3 times, bring the head to normal. So those little stretches and holding the breath and releasing will help open Renjong and Tiantu. Might not feel like it does at first, but the stretching and pulling of the tissues when I move backwards and forwards will pull all this area open. So especially if you're someone that when you breathe, you get like constriction around the Tiantu point and the breathing gets tight. This dropping back, opening this line, holding the breath and then relaxing will help to release it. But the sternum must drop on the exhalation. Now we move to Shanzhong, center of the chest. To help this one open, we're going to essentially put the mind into this area, but not inside, not the heart. It's on the surface. Yeah? And then I'm just going to let the chest draw in. Okay? It's like a smaller version of what we did earlier.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open and just let stretch happen here. And it's like I'm pulling the two sides of the chest sideways. So then I just let it sink a little. So it's like the earlier one where I was working the spine, but I'm just working on this area. It's not too much, not a big sink. And then I just stretch like I'm pulling the sides of the chest sideways, not thrusting forward so much as pulling sideways. And then in, just collapse. And again, just stretch. It's like there's a piece of elastic stretching under the pectoral muscles, just sideways, just lengthening open across the sternum, across the heart region. Down. And then open. Sink. And just open. And again, sink. And then once again, put your mind here, put your attention in that little sheet of elastic that you're pulling across the front of the chest. And then sink. And slide it open. Sink. And slide it open underneath the chest. And then we're going to start doing the same. Zhongwan, solar plexus. Yeah. So I do the same. I sink. Yeah. Then you're going to pull the solar plexus sideways. So just using the mind is like I stretch something at the height of the solar plexus under the skin, side to side, left to right here. So I go down, and I'm just going to widen it so it's not thrusting this way, it's widening sideways. Down. The more this area is pulled up, pulled open, elasticated, the more the chi can conduct through that area, so it's less likely to become stuck. So just a few more. Down. And then open. Sink the solar plexus. And pull it open. Then when you've done a few, just sit, just relax. Just breathe in and out through the nose, a few breaths. And just to conclude the practice, roll the shoulders back, big circles, like a last opening of the chest. So it's the scapula that I'm trying to roll rather than the shoulders, I suppose. The shoulder blades are up, together and down, yeah, and just rolling. Just a few more times. Okay, good. The clipping pass at Huayin is generally taken care of because of the previous practice where I draw that yang from the perineum up towards the lower dantian anyway. If people start to get blockages in that area, it'll happen way earlier and it's like a cold sensation or the perineum can't lift. They can't even do that exercise. So don't worry too much about Huayin, it'll be taken care of. So this little sequence for the clipping passes, like I say, just start to drop it into your practice and do it at a time to prepare the body before you start trying to pull the chi into the Du and the Ren. Most people will not need too much of it, just a little bit like this, just to open it up. And as you can see, what I did was pretty much, apart from a couple of exceptions, just mechanical, just to get it open, to free up the nerves, so there's space in here, and then to get the tissue stretched on the front of the body as well. Oftentimes I see people make very convoluted, very complicated writings about the clipping passes, and it's not needed. It is literally when the chi conducts through that area, is it going to get stuck? So these kind of movements, or any others you know to stretch these regions of the body, will actually help them to have more space, to help them to open.